Okay, hello everybody. If you don't mind, I'd like to make a start. It's great to be here at Kingston. It's a very nice campus, and thank you all for staying to the end for this final plenary. You are the stalwarts of the conference that have made it all the way through. Well done and thank you. So, I'm going to talk today about the end of business planning in entrepreneurship education, and we're going to do a product launch of our sandpit. And afterwards, outside, there will be a few bottles of bubbly and a nice slice of cake for us all to reward you for sitting through me talking for the next half an hour. Hopefully not that long. So to start with, I'd like to try something a little participatory. Could you please raise your hands in the air if you answer to someone in your life? This could be an employer, this could be another senior lecturer, or maybe even a husband or wife. Could you just raise your hands if you could think of that person? Most people in the room. Now, could you keep your hands raised if in recent memory you have approached that person and you've asked them what problems they have or what challenges that they're facing, and you can remember that time? You're quite good as a room. Well done. Entrepreneurship lecturers, I'm glad. I think this is such an important question to ask people, right? What problems do you have? I learn a lot about people by asking that question. At awkward networking events, I go and speak to people and I learn about their industries and their problems and what they're trying to do and achieve. In entrepreneurship, the biggest reasons why startups fail is because they build something that nobody wants, right? Not a lack of finance, not a lack of talent. They build something that nobody wants. And I think it's easy to do because you have your light bulb moment, you have your idea, you get caught up in it, and you end up solving an imaginary problem for an imaginary customer. If you keep asking those kind of questions of people, what are your problems? And you find those solutions, people will buy from you, they'll be loyal, they'll vote for you, who knows, they might even love you. There's a great quote by Paul Graham. Now, Paul Graham is one of the founders of Y Combinator being the most successful accelerator in the world. Their portfolio of companies is worth over $76 billion. And includes Dropbox and Airbnb. And what Paul Graham says, he says, if you find your market need, if you build something that users want, doesn't matter what you do or you don't do, you'll probably be fine. But don't find your market need. Don't build something that users want. Doesn't matter what you do or you don't do, you're dead. Your company will be dead. The most important aspect of entrepreneurship, then, is finding that problem and a solution that meets that problem, and then you have what we call product market fit. Now, when I was 10 years old, I had a great idea for a business, right? I asked my dad for some sheep for my birthday, and I had a grand plan. I'd worked out that if you take one sheep and you have another sheep, and you put them together, they might make a third sheep. Well, on average, they tend to make 1.5 sheep. So if I had 10 the first year, I'll have 25 the next year. I can sell some, keep the rest, grow my flock, earn some money. And my dad was not going to go and buy me some sheep for my birthday, unfortunately. But on my birthday, he gets called out to a house, and the people that just bought this house had got with it some land, and with that land, they got some sheep. They didn't want those sheep. So my dad, being the problem solver that he is, some people didn't want some sheep, son that wants some sheep, probably forgot on my birthday as well, he brings them home. Fantastic, my venture can start. Now, for those of you who are not from farming area, there's a few things you need to know about sheep. Number one, they have a remarkable propensity to die unexpectedly, right? Don't have a product which can die unexpectedly. But more importantly than that, you have to look after them, right? When the grass doesn't grow in the winter, you've got to feed them, you've got to shear them, you've got to dag them, dip them, you've got to keep them alive. All in all, by the time I took these sheep to market, it had cost me more to rear them than the price I was getting for them. So this was my first lesson in business, and I call that a lesson in viability. Right? You've got to be able to sell your product for more than it costs you to produce it, or rear it in this case. So fast forward 6 years. 6 years later, I've got a new problem I want to solve, and that's the problem of waste food from cafes and restaurants, supermarkets. And I was going to take that at the end of the day, and where do you think I could sell that? Any ideas?
Pig farmers.
Pig farmers. Back to the sheep. No, I thought I'd take it and sell it to drunk people. Late at night on Hereford and Commercial Road in Hereford, I was going to take this food, I was going to repurpose it, and I was going to sell it to drunk people. So I went around the cafes and restaurants, and I asked for permission, and they said, yeah, we'll give it to you, and we'll give it to you for free. Great, this is looking viable already, right? Then I had a visit from a nice policeman. And the policeman said, 1, you're not putting a stall on that high street. Number 2, you're not allowed to sell food, hot food, after 11 o'clock at night, I think it was. And if you're going to go anywhere near that area, you're going to need some kind of security. Right, so this one failed before it even got started, and I'm going to put that down to what I call feasibility. Right? Within the laws of the land, within the laws of physics, within the laws of my ability, I was not capable of bringing that business, moving that business forward, and so that one failed there. Fast forward 2 more years. Right, I'm 18, I've left school. This time, I'm going to do something which everybody likes. Right? It's foolproof. Put your hands in the air if you like pancakes. I think pretty much everyone. Not that gentleman over there. So I decided that I went to the place in the world that makes the best pancakes, France, although they call them crepes. And I went on a course, and I got there, and the nice French lady says, Henry, I'm very sorry, but you are the only English person, so the course is now in French, which was a bit of a surprise. But there I am in France, learning how to make French crepes from a nice French lady in French. But I've got my GCSE, so I just about managed to muddle through. And I come back just about knowing how to make these French crepes. I start going to markets and events and festivals, selling a few, and earn enough money to buy a van. And I start going to bigger events and festivals and decide I'm going to do my biggest one yet. I'm going to take them to Wolverhampton Christmas Market, right? 10-day market in Wolverhampton. I don't know if you've been to Wolverhampton, but it's a town that's built on its manufacturing and industrial heritage, right? The wonderful people of Wolverhampton are the kind of people that come out in their morning with a builder's brew, a bacon butty with lashes of ketchup. Right? They are not the kind of people that wanted to buy a posh French crepe from an 18-year-old on Dudley High Street in -4 degrees. So, feeling very sorry for myself, with a tail between my legs and chilblains on my feet, I go home, having not made any money. And that was my 3rd lesson. So that was a lesson to me in desirability. All products have a time and a place when someone is willing to purchase them. So those are my 3 lessons: desirability, feasibility, viability. They're also the 3 pillars of any innovation. And why am I telling you this, right? You know all this stuff. You're enterprise educators. And the reason is I wanted to highlight that that's how I learned, right? It was from those failures that I learned those lessons. And through trying and failing and trying again, I started developing entrepreneurial skills. And I think the research backs this up as well, and you'll know more about this than me, but the research seems to say that practice-based approach to entrepreneurial learning through experience is what drives results. My contention is that I don't think that's how many universities are currently teaching entrepreneurship. And the centerpiece of the problem, the thing that's hindering it, I believe, is the business plan. Now, the business plan served its purpose, right? It made entrepreneurship widely acceptable to business schools across the country. And now there are over 230 courses, I believe, that are being taught. But I believe now that it's time to remove it as a method of assessment. One academic source I found describes getting students to write business plans as dysfunctional at best, educational malpractice at its worst. Another one said it's great theatre, but it doesn't deliver measurable impact in entrepreneurial thinking. To me, the business plan is the fat kid in class that never made it to the finish line on sports day. Right? It's fat. Lord Young wants to get enterprise into every student's higher education experience. I believe in that goal. I think you all do. That's why this group exists. But how are you going to do that when you've got this massive, chunky assessment method that sits at the end of it? How can you have small elective modules which you can fit in to sports, arts, media, other subjects across the curriculum? The business plan is slow. If we're market testing, right, our problem, our solution, our market, they change weekly, even daily sometimes. The big lumbering business plan can't keep up. Ultimately, I don't think a business plan gets you to your destination. It doesn't get you across the finish line. If we take what Paul Graham said, it doesn't matter what you do or you don't do, as long as you find that market need. What we need students to be doing is coming up with problems, coming up with solutions, and then testing those problems and solutions. A business plan does not allow for failure, right? It's a proven problem, a proven idea, a proven team that's going to take it forward, and the financials to back it up and show how they're going to make a profit. And ultimately, 9 out of 10, if not all of these student ideas that you're going to see are going to fail, right? Or at least on their first attempt. They're going to have to iterate and change and develop. So how can a student present a failed idea? Not in a business plan. So let's say you indulge me and we remove that from the curriculum. What's going to replace it? What if there was a way which we could get students to focus on their problems? What if there was a way that we could get students to go through a process of experiential entrepreneurship where they're trying, failing, and trying again? What if there was a way that we could do that in the curriculum, quickly, cheaply, and easily, without exposing the university to unnecessary risks? What if there was a way that we could do that where we could measure creativity and measure the results on entrepreneurial thinking? What would that look like? I wonder. Let me introduce you to the sandpit. Now, of course, the sandpit is a metaphor. It's a metaphor for an online platform where students can test their ideas quickly, cheaply, and easily. We can put it into the curriculum, in any curriculum where students are generating ideas. And we've done it. We've done it in undergraduate and postgraduate modules. We've done it in fashion, entrepreneurship, and even sport. We've written those 5 case studies up into a white paper, crowdfunding in the curriculum, which, if you'd like, I'd be very pleased to give it to you at the end, or we'll send through an electronic copy. I'd like to leave you with one last thought before we enter Q&A. There's immense pressure on universities to put enterprise into the curriculum, from UK, EU, and World Economic Forum policy. Right? The world's looking to universities to spit out the next generation of entrepreneurs that are going to be the driving force of the economy, entrepreneurs that are going to be the job creators over the next 50 years, and the jobs that those entrepreneurs create are going to be unlike the jobs that have been created over the last 50 years. Who's going to fill those jobs? It's going to be people who have entrepreneurial skills that can adapt to the rapidly changing digital economy. So my message to you is, throw out the business plan, jump in the sandpit, and let's create that generation of entrepreneurs together. Thank you very much.